Check, check, 1, 2. Alright, looks like I'm all situated here. Good evening. Very long story short, I think it would be cool to be uh, a video game independent developer type guy. So I have managed to teach myself a little bit of how the Unity editor works, a little bit of how Blender works, and a very small amount of how C# works. And as I was going through all these tutorials, I kept wishing I had like some sort of resource from someone else like me who knew nothing about how to code, nothing about almost all of this stuff, like a tutorial or diary or something um, written by somebody in a similar place who would be able to explain all the pitfalls and such that the shiny professional tutorials don't really know how to articulate correctly. So this stream is my attempt to create just that. So don't go looking to me as a guru. I'm still very much a beginner, but hopefully we'll be able to become something more than that. So let me just pull up Unity here, Unity 2019, and they've got a series of, this is one of the series of Creators Kit default tutorials that the newer versions of Unity come with, and we're just going to try and go through this. I want to say I think this is I think the contents of this tutorial are kind of below where I'm at in terms of skill, but that is very, very much a tempting fate kind of declaration. So let's just go in and see what we can do with this tutorial, which it looks like is a RPG, point-and-click RPG system that's meant to help teach us the basics of writing C# for Unity. Something kind of almost double fine about this looking here. Let's see here.
Welcome to Unity's 4th Creator Kit, Beginner Code. The kit is a series of step-by-step tutorials to help you get coding quickly with Unity. Throughout this beginner project, you'll explore the basics of C# code for Unity, customizing your own RPG game set right here in the town of Rancho Rodadora. But there are a few things that you'll need to do before you start. No coding experience? No problem. But it would be useful to have a basic understanding of how the Unity editor works before you dive in. If you're completely new to Unity, check out one of our code-free creator kits. FPS, RPG, or Puzzle. You can find them at learn.unity.com. Each kit is different, but they'll all provide you with the background knowledge you'll need for you to confidently start working with C# in this beginner code project. The second step is to make sure you've got the latest versions of the Unity Hub and Unity Personal installed on your computer. Follow the instructions on Unity Learn to download the beginner code project. Finally, spend a little time familiarizing yourself within the Unity editor, and then play the game to see what you'll be working with. When you've completed the beginner code creator kit, you'll be able to identify key information in C# scripts, write simple instructions, and understand the role of variables, functions, classes, and keywords as ways to help you organize your code. So what are you waiting for? Saddle up for the adventure of a lifetime, Wild West style.
Well, they certainly put a lot of effort into the assets of this tutorial game they've put together. Hopefully that bodes well. Let's see here, and yeah, I've messed with one of these in the I've messed with one of these earlier tutorials in the setup stream I did. That's mostly about how to use the Unity editor, which I find sort of pretty intuitive. I say, tempting fate again. So let's just move on here. I've got the latest version, or close enough to the latest version. I've got all the stuff. And yes, I know where all the stuff is. Okay, we know what a scene is. We know what a game object is. We know what a prefab is. Oh, so the first step, of course, is to actually play this little tutorial game they've made here. Let's see here. Trying to resize my screen here. This is a little bit tiny. Oh, didn't I just say I was pretty confident in how to use the editor? Let's take a closer look at this fella. Like how you can hear the spurs jingling. Hey, that works. Now this here looks mighty suspicious in this here old western town. Just a primitive object. Mr. Boxface, huh? That's the level we're working on here? Okay. Uh-oh. Now I do like this effect, being able to see silhouettes through objects. That save you a lot of headache. Oh, hello. These things are cute, though. This is pretty elaborate for a simple tutorial series. Excuse me, was pouring myself a cup of tea there. sheriff never around when you need him. And the town is being attacked by over-designed cactus creatures. I keep trying to open my inventory with tab, so I'm wondering if it'll be possible to modify the code so you can do it that way. Well, let's see if there are any other mechanics that we should know about. It seems pretty simple right now, though. Again, famous last words. Yeah, I don't want to brute force that guy right now. Targeting feels weird. Way to take Ellen as an alien. That's probably going to be the joke. Oh, hey. Well, that was pretty straightforward. Was that it? Actually, I should have checked before I started this if this game had some sort of win state. I'm thinking it might not be. Huh, no actual death animation. Oh, it just heals itself. Guess that's one way to do it. Let's see if we can't... Oh, there's another guy. A couple more over here, it looks like. Oh, hey, and this must be where our... whatchamacallem... HUD actually is. Oh, hey, I wonder if... Can make it sunset over the old ranchero here. Yeah, sure, why not? Well, anyways, let's see here. What are these, anyways? Player sound prefab clones. I wonder what those do. Let's take a closer look at one of these fellas. Oh, he got a little hat. Can't help but feel like these guys are like a budget version of those. What are those Final Fantasy guys? The Cactar, whatever they are. He's almost doing the pose. And near as I can tell, there's nothing to indicate an actual wind state or anything here. Yeah, I think that must be it. Let's see what else there is to this. Now, after we've done that, let's just take a peek here. Let's take a quick peek in the character controller. Wow, my eyes went crossed really fast here. Let's see. Okay, so I guess this is the part where it checks what's under the mouse cursor to figure out what we're trying to click. Uh, hey, that worked. I changed it from I to tab. I have imposed my will on this universe that another has created. Isn't it glorious? So that's saying if input get key. Oh, so it's looking for the key going up. Because there's get key up, get key, which just checks if the, which is more like get key down. It checks each time the script is run through if the key is held down. And then there's get key down, which just checks if it's been the key has been depressed since the last time it checked. So you can go look for that one famous Mario 64 speedrunner talking about half A presses. This is what that's talking about. Instance toggle inventory. I do not know what UI system here means, but I guess toggle inventory is self-explanatory enough. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Oh good, we get to learn what programming is. Okay, that's a little bit abstract for me, but okay. Trying not to feel patronized here. Okay, we're going to do something with that cube, it looks like, that cylinder. Okay, so that cylinder is called the potion spawner then. Okay, so we want to open that. So we look over the inspector here. I was overthinking that. So we click on this, and it'll quickly go to the script that is attached to that object, and we open that up, and hey, that looks a lot simpler. This is the important part here. Oh, was that it? Well, let's get to actually doing stuff then.
Variables are used in computer programming to store information that can change. When you're playing a computer game, for example, the points you've scored and the number of lives you have left are stored as variables. In programming, a variable is like a box. You give the box a name to describe its contents. And once you've created your variable, you can give it an initial value. Place your item, in this case, let's say the number of lives a player has at the start of a video game, inside the box. To change the value of the variable, take the original item out of the box and replace it with something new. If the player gains health in the game, we take the number of lives they had before and replace with the number of lives they have now. Variables make computer code more flexible. Let's say you want to record something different, like how many gems a player has collected. Since this number will change throughout the game, we store its value as a variable. Start by creating a new variable called gems and giving it a value. When you want to use it, just use the variable gems. This way, you can easily refer to the current value of gems in your program. So, it's super easy to use the number of gems that a player has to affect other elements of the game. For example, the number of gems might be turned into more points. When you create a variable, you need to do two things. Firstly, define the type of information that will be stored. This will tell the computer how much space to save in its memory. Secondly, name the variable. This is so you can retrieve the variable easily. An example of the data you can store in a variable would be a whole number called an integer, or a line of text called a string. You can create a variable for a player's name in the game, so when a new player starts the game, they can choose their own character name and it will be stored in the variable player name. Using descriptive names that explain clearly what the variable is helps you understand your programs more clearly. So what have you learned? Variables are how you store data that can change. The data stored in a variable can be an integer or a string. Variables are useful in code as a way of saving time, writing cleaner code, and, if you name them clearly, making your programs easier to understand.
Did you get all that? Did you get all that? So a variable is like a box. It's very important that you understand that. What a variable is a box, and just like a real box, it's not a real box, it's a computer box, but just like a real box, you can use it to store numbers and letters. That's all you need to know to understand programming, pretty much, is a variable is like a box that you put gems in, except the gems are integers or strings. Okay, so that lesson in a nutshell, right here, you're declaring a new variable. This variable is an integer. It is called angle, and it starts at 15. Um, then semicolon to indicate that the command has been finished. Then here where it says angle, that's the variable we declared up here, equals 55. That just means change the number that is in the integer box here to 55. Nothing terribly revolutionary here, but Well, I'll never back down from a challenge. So let's see here. So here it looks like the script is declaring a variable a vector3 variable called spawn position, and each time it runs through this, it changes it to blah blah blah. I guess direction must be the direction that whatever this thing is facing is. Then instantiate object to spawn, spawn position. So object to spawn is declared up here. So basically, what I'm getting is that this guy right here spins around, basically, and shoots out a spawn position as it does so, and then it activates object to spawn at wherever that spawn position is. So that's angle 0, or start with angle 15, then 55, then 95. Okay. Okay, so now we're doing stuff here. We're looking at line 12. So, clear everything and start. Wait a take, what's it on about here? Had the instruction on the line following the angle variable line 12. Line 12 is blank. Angle is up here on 10. I don't know if that's just something my script editor here did or not. Anyways, I think I'm overthinking this. So int angle, int radius, which is equal to 5, semicolon. And I'm thinking I want to replace one of these two guys here with radius. But I'm not sure which because I don't know how quadranon.euler actually acts. But let's follow the tutorial here. Oh, we're looking for the value 2. Okay, so spawn position is its transform.position plus the direction times 2. And we actually want to change that 2 to radius. Radius and radius. So, or actually it might help if I saved that. So here's where they go normally. Saving this. Hey, we changed the thing. We have imposed our will on the world of another, thus proving our existence. I like the design on this thing, actually. Let's leave that running for a minute. Okay, so I didn't actually know about this save state thing. Let's take a look at that. Alright, so it wants us to try and figure it out ourselves. Let's have a look-see here. Actually, do we need to close that and reopen it? Let's see. So I'm thinking what we really want to do is copy this guy here. So we want to change the angle. This is probably entirely incorrect. And let's say, if we say radius times 2, I just want to make sure that'll work. Ah, there it is. It worked. It worked. Alright, and let's remove that part. One, two, three, four. Alright. Hey, I even actually calculated that right. I mean, you could use comments to explain your code to others, but why would you? It's not like any code you write will ever be used by anyone else, right?
Playing video games often requires repeating tasks over and over to reach your goals. But when a player needs to smash a barrel to find a love potion, it's important that the same thing happens every time. In coding, that means functions are sets or bundles of instructions that accomplish a specific task. Every programming language lets you create blocks of code that, when called, perform specific tasks. Functions encapsulate a task. That means they combine multiple instructions into a single line of code. Functions usually take input data, process it, and output a result. A llama eats grass, that's the input. Its body turns it into milk, that's the process part, and you get the milk. That's the output.
This is not a
Once a function
metaphor
is written,
I am liking
it can
here.
be used over and over. Functions can even be called from the inside of other functions. Most programming languages provide built-in functions that would otherwise require many steps to accomplish, for example, computing the square root of a number. In general, however, programmers don't really care how a function does what it does, only that it works. Let's look at an example of another function in action. Imagine your favourite song is a computer program. The chorus of the song, which is sung over and over again, is the function. That is, as long as the chorus doesn't change key or, say, repeat the final line. If that happens, functions also allow you to conceive your program as a bunch of substeps. Each substep is its own function. When any program seems too hard, just break the overall program into substeps. They allow us to reuse code instead of rewriting it. So what have you learned? Functions in code help programmers avoid writing lots of repetitive code. They are self-contained modules of code. And once a function has been written, it can be called over and over again.
Did you get all that? So a function is a computer programming term that is the part of the code that allows you to take the numbers that are stored in your variable box and turn them into llama milk. Simple. function body. Okay. Alright, looks like I've been streaming for about an hour and 15 minutes. We did not get too far in here, but, well, this is the first episode. So that was way too much of me silently reading while you presumably did the same. Thinking about the format of these streams going forwards, I think I'm going to read along with these guys out loud and try and interpret it. Which should help me understand what's going on as well as it helps you. So, yeah, now that we're getting into functions, we're kind of getting into the part where I tend to bounce off learning more about C#, but let's keep at it. I'm sure we will be able to make sense of all this eventually. So yeah. I'm not sure when I'll be able to do this stream again. I am also trying to figure out my schedule in addition to the format. But yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Thank you much for watching, and until next time.